Before I get into my review of The Expendables 3, I'd like to take this time to say thank you to everyone out there who donated to my Kickstarter campaign to start my own movie funds. That's right, we've reached our goal, kids, and my film it's got the green light, it's all funded, I even have a movie poster. That's right, it's The Expendables, gathering the biggest, greatest, larger than life, larger than everyone fat people in the history of the world and putting them in the silver screen. That's right, Lord Alfred Hitchcock, John Goodman, Kirstie Alley, Andre the Giant, the guy who played Francis in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and myself in an action-packed extravaganza the likes of which few have ever seen. And it was made possible because of your donations. I know a couple of people in that list are dead, but through the cunning use of CGI and stunt doubles, shouldn't be a problem. It'll be just like The Crow. Exactly like The Crow. If you like The Crow, you're going to love The Expendables. I'm just throwing that out there.
He fell asleep in New Jersey before the bombs hit the ground. Broadcasting from a bomb shelter, he is the nuclear clown.
I remember when I first saw The Expendables, the very first movie. I reviewed it on this channel. You can go check it out. I remember one thing I distinctly said. I said, look, everybody gets a free pass once on nostalgia, right? After the first time, you're going to have to start showing me something, right? The first Expendables movie wasn't really good, per se. But I don't think it was particularly terrible either. It was just kind of there. It was, competent enough. It had a story in a manner of speaking, and it was an action movie. You wanted to see an action movie, you saw an action movie. You're not going to get your mind blown or anything like that, and it's certainly not going to win any kinds of crazy script awards. Let me tell you something. I lied. I just flat out lied. Because when Expendables 2 came out, I was like, all right, look, now they're going to have to start showing me something. And then they told me that Jean-Claude Van Damme was going to be the villain. And I said, I don't care if this even has a script. It could literally be Jean-Claude Van Damme kicking something for 2.5 hours. 2 thumbs up from this guy here. So yeah, all right, I misjudged my own shit here. And the nostalgia thing, I got to be honest with you. I fucking love this, right? I'm like 34, 98 years old or something like that. So all these, old codgers rolling around and stuff, they were huge when I was growing up. So mashing them all together in a series of movies is like crack cocaine to me, or cupcakes. You be the judge. And it's just, I don't know. I like it. I like the second one. I actually, okay. I don't believe I have any credibility really as a movie reviewer, because it's all just opinion. What credibility is involved in an opinion? It's what you think, right? But I've actually liked the Expendables movies more as they've come out, and I thought 3 was the best of them all. I'm sorry. Look, I don't know what to say to you. I mean, I feel bad. I feel like I'm admitting like a drug problem to a parent or something, but yeah, it's not worn off on me. It really hasn't. And every time they make a new one and they put out that movie poster with 900 people on it, I'm like, that's so ridiculous. They're really going overboard now. Can't wait for that shit to come out. I'm online. It's just, I will see them. I will see them until they stop making them. And I think they're going to be 5. Because 5 seems like the number of things that they make before somebody somewhere says, I'm not paying for this anymore. Saw got away with what, 6? Pretty good, if you ask me. So I think Expendables is going to end up capping out at around 5. So yeah, I would like to, before I get into the movie review, I would just like to say that this trick works on me. It works on me a lot. It does. The first time I heard the idea, I was like, I love it. I totally love it. And people are like, oh, a bunch of old guys running around. It's so ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and try to trick you that there's some kind of, that the Expendables franchise is some object d'art. But it's fun. It's an object de fun, at least for me. I don't know. I've been liking them. So yeah, I just wanted to say that I completely lied to everybody. I was trying to be cool, like, all right, I'll give you a pass on this one, but you got to start coming correct with scripts. No. totally into it. I'm completely into it. Even this time around with the big ludicrous movie poster with like literally 900 people on there, I was like, I'm never gonna see this movie. Wait, hold on. So that's kind of my spoiler-free review, I guess. I don't know what it is. These movies, they have an appeal to me. What is that? There was a movie where there's like some guy and he's like a scumbag, so naturally like all the girls love him, even though he constantly like fucks with all of them and like has sex with their mothers and stuff, but you know, everybody loves him. And oh no, I remember what it was. It was Rome. It was the old HBO show Rome. And Mark Antony, who's like a fucking maniac. And what's her name? The other girl, Adia. And I think like one of her kids is like, or her daughter is talking to her son or something, and her son is like, I don't know what the fuck she sees in that guy. And then the other sibling says like, you don't understand, he has powers over her. Like he's just got her figured out. The Expendables has me figured out. These movies have powers over me. I don't know what it is. Okay, so take that for what you will. Spoiler-free review is I like The Expendables 3. It was my favorite one out of all of them, actually. I think they get gradually better. If you can even use a word like that. I don't know. I went into this expecting absolutely nothing, expecting another like silly action movie, but ended up getting like a handful of really, really good performances that I will talk about in a bit. So that's my spoiler-free review. Look, man, I don't know what to tell you. I liked it. I did like The Expendables 3. Kind of debating recording this, but so anyway, let's begin to spoil some stuff, right? The last thing you would expect that I would expect me to say, that I would expect anyone to say, the last thing I would expect a blind, deaf, dumb person to say when watching The Expendables, or trying to watch I guess you would say trying, but anyway, I would never expect the words really good performances and The Expendables in any kind of sentence, but hear me out. You know, Sylvester Stallone, Arnie Schwarzenegger, and everybody else in this movie gives the standard fare, right? Dolph Lundgren is going to look strangely like vampiric / immortal, and everybody's just going to kind of like do the thing. Randy Couture's going to do the thing. He's going to be Randy Couture. He's going to do the thing. Everybody's performing, like, you know, nobody's reaching for this film. But the new additions they put in this movie, namely Kelsey Grammer, was fucking awesome in this movie. Mel Gibson was fucking awesome in this movie. And Antonio Banderas was fucking awesome in this movie. 3 really, really, really good, fun performances in this movie. Now look, I know that sounds like I'm making this up, like it's some kind of April Fool's joke or something, talking about 3 great performances in The Expendables, but legit, like seriously, I thought they added so much to this movie. I mean, you know, I wasn't expecting anything from the standard guys, but the supporting cast really pulled it together. And look, let's face it, like Mel Gibson's like what? He's an anti-Semitic, woman-hating, religious fanatic nutbag, to put it mildly. But the guy can act up a fucking storm. I mean, Mel Gibson is a legit act. Like, he's great. He's great. And in this movie, he is great. And you have to... I put it into context. Like, he puts in an awesome performance in an Expendables movie where the villain doesn't particularly have too much to do. So to really pop out on the screen, I guess, you could say, well, it was easy for him because everybody else is just kind of doing their own, you know, action star stuff. But no, really, Mel Gibson was awesome in this. I really loved him as the bad guy. I thought he did fantastic. Kelsey Grammer was a fucking riot. You got me too, man. Antonio Banderas was just wonderful. These wonderful men in my life. Look at these wonderful men in my life. So that surprised the shit out of me. And I liked it even more because a bad guy's so important. You know, the first one, Eric Roberts, it's Eric Roberts. You know, are there any Eric Roberts fans out there? I remember this old HBO. It was like a late night, one of those late night porn movies where you watch and you're like, ooh, it said sexual content. I'm going to watch this whole fucking movie. You're ready. You're sitting there and you're like, I'm going to die. As soon as the top comes off, I'm going at it. And it was something where he was like in an ambulance, or he was like an ambulance driver or something. I remember that. And I sat through that whole movie, god awful, and I was just like waiting for the sexy booby parts. And I think there was a sexy booby part in that movie. Pretty sure there was, but something with Eric Roberts, Ambulance, Best of the Best. Also, we can't forget that. But wasn't Eric Roberts only in like the first one, and then Tommy Lee like took over when he do the thing where he turned his foot sideways, which would turn him into a predator or something? I don't know. But yeah. So Eric Roberts, not that great a bad guy, you know. I don't know, just meh. And it's important. It's very important because you have to look at it this way. The Expendables, the whole concept is we're taking it's like the Avengers of old action stars, right? You know, okay, fine. But if you're gathering up like the best of the past, the bad guy has to be something really special to pose some kind of threat. And I think Eric Roberts is kind of fizzled out when you put like, you almost feel bad for the bad guy because it's all these huge action stars against Eric Roberts. It's like, can you give him a hand, Eric Roberts? I mean, I know that Steve Austin was his henchman. They could have just made Steve Austin the fucking villain. It probably would have been better as far as, you know, evening out the sides, I guess. So anyway, that was the first one. You know, villain not too great. Second one, Jean-Claude Van Damme. I'm sorry, I'm just gay for Jean-Claude. He can do no wrong in my book. He could knock on my door right now, kick me in the face 8 times. You know, grab my family, kick them all in the face 8 times, and I would still ask for his autograph. I'd ask him to sign Bloodsport in my own blood and teeth. I don't know what it is. I watched the reality show. Jean-Claude Van Damme had like some reality show. I think it was only in Europe, but it's on YouTube. So I watched. I sat there like a fucking robot and watched the entire thing. I'm sorry. So yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme, much better than Eric Roberts, I think. And then Mel Gibson was great in this movie. He was awesome in this movie. Kelsey Grammer, awesome. Antonio Banderas, awesome. So you got 3 awesome performances right off the bat. And, you know, explosions and shit, you know. What am I going to tell you about the Expendables? There's some parts in this that are ludicrous, obviously. I mean, did you think I was going to sit down and say it was a psychological thriller, the likes of which I've never seen before? You didn't do that. So we're gonna go over some goofy parts because it's not all, you know, bubblegum and daisies here for the Expendables, obviously. The whole story is really pretty basic. The Expendables are a mercenary group, right? And they do shit for money. And Mel Gibson is the target that they have to assassinate, but they go into a job not knowing that it's Mel Gibson. He was under like a different name or something. They had him recorded or they had him profiled under a different name. So when they go and they're going to kill him and the sniper thing, you know, in the sights and they see it's Mel Gibson, Sylvester Stallone says, "Oh my God, it's Mel Gibson, personal vendetta, insert 80s movie cliche here," and then proceeds to warn him that he's going to kill him. Here's the equivalent, right? It's like Batman. Picture Batman on a rooftop sniper rifle. And he's going to take out a villain. They said, look, there's a villain there. It's the guy, it's Clayface, right? Who gives a shit about Clayface? Nobody. Not even Clayface's mother. So Commissioner Gordon's like, yo, Bats, Clayface is causing some ruckus. Get your bat sniper rifle, and take him out. So Batman's on the rooftop. He's doing a targeting thing. He sees some goons. And then, like, the Joker comes out of, you know, Clayface's car or whatever. And Batman's like, oh, it's not Clayface, it's the Joker. One of my absolute he's the arch nemesis, really. You know, he's the guy. He's the guy I've been wanting to blow his head off forever. I could finally rid the world of the Joker right now. So Batman's looking. He's a little shocked. But then he regains himself and he says, Joker! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ah! And he starts shooting, and of course, he's alerted Joker to his presence, so Joker runs, and we have a movie that didn't need to be there because he should have just blown his head off right away. I don't get that part. Why he just screamed Mel Gibson's name. He went, Mel Gibson! And then started shooting. Thereby alerting Mel Gibson when he didn't have to. I have no idea why he did that. So something inside me said, well, he obviously doesn't want him dead. We find out later that Mel Gibson used to be one of the Expendables too. He's got the tattoo and everything like that. Which is okay, fine, that's fine. So you're telling me that really, deep down, Sylvester Stallone doesn't want to kill his old running buddy Mel Gibson. But then, as the movie goes on, you're like, no, he really does want to kill him. Okay, well, that's fine. Then why did you warn him? When you had him literally in your sights, in the most literal way I can possibly tell you. And you're going to scream his name before you start shooting. I don't know why nobody else, none of the other... The first thing I would have said is, excuse me? As soon as we were in that big plane, I just would have just been like, what was that? What was that? And then they'd all look at me and be like, what are you doing here? And I'd be like, do you have Jean-Claude's number? So, I don't get that. That was just ridiculous on a scale I can't even begin to comprehend. I don't know why they did that. I mean, they could have easily had them give away their position some other way, like maybe some guards point them out and see them, giving Mel Gibson 1 second to run away. But no. You got a perfectly clear shot. There's nothing stopping you except your own dumb mouth when you go, ah, Mel Gibson, and then start shooting after warning him that you're, okay, whatever. So anyway, the guy, Terry Crews, he did the Old Spice commercials, right? He gets shot and he's gonna die or something like that. So they bring in Wesley Snipes because in the Expendables, you can only have one non-white person per movie. Like in the last one, for example, right? Jet Li was in the last one until maybe 10 minutes in. And then he's like, bye guys, I gotta go visit like my sister. She's getting married. So Jet Li goes visit his sister who's getting married. And then they bring in another like Asian girl. Because there's a limit apparently. And I mean, it's like, what, 2 Asians? Nobody can think like that. No, who? Everyone will get confused. They'll be like, okay, one's a boy, one's a girl. They're both Asian. I can't even deal with this. I don't know who's who. So, following with that logic, like Wesley Snipes is in, so therefore it's like, sorry, we already got one black guy in the Expendables, so we have to kill one we have to incapacitate one to fill that slot with another one because we can't have 2 non-white people in the Expendables. I read it, and Sylvester Stallone was like, yeah, it's just how they operate. It's one. Antonio Banderas, I mean, you're lucky there's not many, Spanish, action heroes, or else you'd eat. Oh, wait, when Danny Trejo's in Expendables 4, you're gone, my friend. See ya, wouldn't want to be ya. So anyway, it's a very simple story, right? Betrayed by an old, friend. It was one of them. One of them turned bad and joined the dark side. So Sylvester Stallone's all emo and mad, even though he warned him and he could have just easily blew his head off. But apparently he doesn't want to. But then he blows his head off at the end of the movie. You make the call. So anyway, Terry Crews gets almost killed. He's in, he's all, in the hospital and whatnot. And Sylvester Stallone's like, oh no, I'm a 90-year-old mercenary and I've seen this 800 times, but for some reason this time's different. So he breaks up his team. He's like, look, man, I don't want all you guys to die. So even though we're called the Expendables, that's kind of the thing, but okay. So he breaks up the band, so to speak, and then he becomes like Rick James, where you stop performing and then you be like a manager, and then you produce Eddie Murphy's album, and then you're in the studio like, my girl wants to, and you have to look all dramatic, like he's doing all the levers and stuff when he's really just coked out of his fucking mind. Rick James, Expendables 4. You heard it here first. Oh, he's dead. Just like The Crow. It'll be just like The Crow. CGI, a couple of stunt doubles. We can do this. With your money. Kickstarter, everybody. Gimme. I got a billion ideas, and if saps out there are willing to pay for them, sure, why not? Thanks for the money, suckers. So he's like, okay, I can't watch my friends die. I'm going to start a new group of young kids and watch them die instead, because it's much less sad watching young people with their whole lives ahead of them die than it is watching old codgers who have nothing to live for anyway die. Okay. So Kelsey Grammer, takes him across the world and starts recruiting. It's very much like Street Fighter. I found a guy in New Mexico, and then it's like T-Hawk, and he's fighting outside like a chicken coop or something, and then it's like, oh, and this next guy's really good, and it's Blanca, and they're in Brazil all of a sudden. And all the girls are just immaculately groomed. So, Kelsey Grammer just proceeds to be ludicrously awesome whenever he's in this movie. Seriously, blew me away, just fantastic, awesome. I can't name you one thing I have seen this man in, but I love him. I mean, he was great in this. He was so great. So they amass a new team. Now, I'm out of the loop because I'm an old man, so maybe these youngsters are from movies themselves. I don't know. I only recognize Ronda Rousey because, the UFC deal and all that stuff. Everybody else, if they're supposed to be action stars, I don't know who they are. I'm going to chalk it up to me just being old and out of the loop. This is what is chalked up to. This is what chalk is about. Chalk that up to. Where did that expression originate? I'm going to Wikipedia that. Give me 10 minutes. Psych. So he gathers this new team of youngsters. They go after Mel Gibson. It doesn't quite work out, but he ends up kidnapping the young team. And Sylvester Stallone really has complete and total responsibility for this, in my opinion. Because if he would have just shot him, instead of warning him and then trying to shoot him, none of this would have happened. And we could have all enjoyed some nice iced tea. But nah. So, Antonio Banderas is like trying to get hired, but Sylvester Stallone doesn't hire him at first. But now that he's desperate, he's like, sure, we have a slot for a Spaniard. So in Antonio Banderas goes, and then the rest of the group comes. And then Sylvester Stallone's like, okay, wait, hold on. Any other Spanish people? No? Okay, Antonio, you're still good. You can stay. And then they all get together and they all go to rescue like the old, or the Young Expendables, the new Expendables. It would be like if Belle Biv DeVoe went on a tactical recon mission to rescue NSYNC. Oh my god. I can make a fucking trilogy out of this. 1 second. One part that cracked me up. One of the new Expendables, one of the new guys is like a computer guy, a computer hackster type, cool LOL, YOLO, whatever's you guys do now, and he's got this computer thing on his arm, and the old Expendables and Belle Biv DeVoe and NSYNC kind of like start talking shit to each other, and NSYNC is like, oh, Belle Biv DeVoe, you guys are so 2000 and late, and then Belle Biv DeVoe's like, oh, you bunch of fucking pansy kids and stuff like that with your Minecraft and you. So Dolph Lundgren like looks at the computer guy or something and starts like ranking out his mom or something like that, and then like later on in the movie he's got the same computer thing on his arm, and then I forget who it was. One of the other guys, I forget who, was like, hey, isn't that the same computer you were making fun of that other guy for? And then Dolph Lundgren's like, no, I've always had this. I've had this for a long time. It's just a funny little part that I thought was really awesome. So anyway, so they go to rescue the new Expendables, and then everybody dies. They send in a small army, literally a small army. They send in, and they kill them all with Belle Biv DeVoe and NSYNC combine their powers and kill generations of men. They just kill everyone. They kill tanks, they kill motorcycles, they kill dirt bikes, they kill geometry and science as well while they're at it, and they just blow up everything. And Harrison Ford looks old. Remember, She's Fast Enough for You, Old Man? Guess who the old man is now? For reals. So anyway, that's it. It's a very simple, straightforward story. And you know what? I think it's fine. I liked it. I thought Antonio Banderas was awesome. Mel Gibson, awesome. Kelsey Grammer, awesome. I'm sorry, if you give me 3 awesome performances in a movie, I'm a pretty happy kid. And sure, the story was simple. Point A, point B, no problems, no real plot twists. It's fine. What's the big deal? And this shit works on me. I am predisposed to liking stuff like this, even though I like to be all haughty and pompous and say, you're going to have to start giving me stories after 9 of these movies now. I'll be there on day 1 or day 30, because it's been out for a while. Sorry. One thing that I noticed a while into this movie, really mainly towards the big, just enormous, clunky explosion of a fight scene that was the end, there's really no graphic blood or anything. The Expendables 3 is actually rated PG-13. And honestly, I don't really care. Doesn't really bother me, but I did notice halfway through there's just a lot of dust coming out of people when they get shot. And I remember in previous movies, they would literally turn people into fucking paste. Like red. Somebody would get shot, disintegrate, and there'd just be like red gallons of blood and piss and puke everywhere. And this wasn't like that. It was not an incredibly violent movie. Well, sure, I mean, people died by the score, but as far as blood and guts and stuff like that, which I don't know. I don't care. If that really means a lot to you, you're probably going to be disappointed in this movie. But, you know, that's what, like, I don't know, horror movies are for. I wanted to say Saturday Night Fever for some reason, and that makes no sense at all as to why I would say something silly like that. One part cracked me up. The guy with the big, huge gun, you know, because that clears it up. Terry Crews, right? The guy with the really ludicrously big gun. He's on a boat, and he takes out this giant gun and starts shooting at a small country. And he shoots literally like 3 bullets, and then they show an entire screen full of people who die at once. He's like, ah! And then they show a screen of people, and everybody goes, ah! All at the same time. It was the funniest thing. It was like in, what's the one where they bloody Hot Shots, right? I think it was the second one where he just grabbed a thing of bullets and like threw it at 8 people and they all died. It was like that. That's what it reminded. Actually, that part in Hot Shots was far more realistic than Expendables 3, and to this day, the girl in Hot Shots 2, right? Am I right, guys? Yeah, girl in I don't know who that is. I don't know. Has she been in anything else? Does she need to be in anything else? I don't think so. Yeah. Hey there. How you doing? You like guys who do YouTube videos? Girl from Hot Shots 2? No? What about bald guys? You like bald? No? What about fat? No? Nothing? Huh? Do you have $1? I'm a little parched. These reviews get me a little thirsty. Thirsty. Okay, right? Now, in today's modern age, there's billions of things out there with colors and fizzy bits and all that stuff, right? Some soda, perhaps a milkshake, perhaps several milkshakes. But at the end of the day, we can keep it simple. An old formula, like water and ice, while it's not flashy, while it's not riddled with diabetes, while it's not particularly sexy, still does the trick. Stay thirsty, my friends.